now live on YouTube, starting us up on Rumble. Where is the music? That is the wrong tab. Why am I so unorganized? There we go. Good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened to date throughout the annals of recorded history. Starting with October 23rd, we have 4004 BC, James Ussher's proposed creation date of the world according to the Bible. Yes, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, whatever it was, so happy birthday, Earth, according to that theology. Moving on up to 42 BC, we have Roman Republican Civil Wars, aka Liberator Civil War. Second Battle of Philippi, Brutus's army was decisively defeated by Mark Antony and Octavian, then Brutus self-deleted afterward. So, yeah, well, oh, what was me? I lost, time to end all things, and that's what he did. So, getting into 80, 425, Valentinian III was elevated to Roman Emperor at the age of 6. So, wow, that's pretty young to be an emperor. 502, the Synodus Palmaris, called by Gothic King Theodoric the Great, discharged Pope Symmachus of all charges, thus ending the schism of anti-Pope Laurentus. Alright, that happened. 787, Byzantine Empress Irene recovered iconoclastic cult at Nicaea. What? What does that even mean? Let me do a surface level scratch of that article really quick. Irene of Athens, okay. Well, let's see here. Control F, 787. Let's see here if we can. Okay, here we go. Go away. I don't want. No, stop it. How do I get out of this? No, whoops. There we go. Okay. Go away, ad. Go away, ad. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants to donate to your shit. Fuck off. Anyway, she called the Second Council of Nicaea in 787, which condemned iconoclasm as heretical and brought an end to the first iconoclast period from 730 to 787. Okay. So yeah, recovered. The wording, it sounds weird. It sounds like she was saving them or something. No, she was ending them. Moving on up into 1086, Battle of Azalakwa. Almoravid army of Yusuf ibn Tashfin defeated the forces of Castilian King Alfonso VI, but were unable to take advantage of their victory. Alright. Is that even in here? Yeah, here we go. Yeah. 1091, a tornado, possibly a T8/F4, struck the heart of London, killing 2 and demolishing the Woden London Bridge. The old style was October 17th. So, that was in 1091. Yeah, here it is. So, the old Woden London Bridge, 1091. Well, let's see if there's a picture of it. Or a painting, at least. There would not be a photograph from that far back. Okay, Woden London Bridge, 1091. Let's see here. Okay, so this is what the old Woden London Bridge used to look like. Just, oh, and here we go. English historical fiction authors. But this is not fiction. This is real. This really happened. So why are they trying to erase history here? That's a little weird. 1157, Battle of Gareth Heath ended the civil war in Denmark. King Sweyn III was killed, and Vladimir I was restored the country. All right. 1641, Irish Catholic gentry from Ulster attempted to seize control of Dublin Castle, the seat of English rule in Ireland, so as to force concessions. Free Ireland, let them be independent. For literally hundreds of years, they have been fighting against English occupation. When are they going to get their justice? Because they're white, they don't get justice? Okay, I see how it is. All right. 1042, Battle of Edgehill, Warwickshire. King Charles I defeated English parliamentarian forces during the first major battle of the English Civil War. All right, good old pencil face. Oh. 1666, we have another tornado in England here, the most intense tornado on record in English history. An F4 storm on the Fujita scale, or T8 on the Toro scale, struck the county of Lincolnshire with winds of over 213 miles per hour, or 343 kilometers per hour. That's pretty incredible. So we have 2 articles of tornadoes in England on the same calendar date, just several hundred years apart. 2 years later, 1668, Jews of Barbados were forbidden to engage in retail trade. Gee, I wonder why. Like, this is, here we go again, things happening to the Jews, but you can't talk about it, otherwise you'll be anti-Semitic, ooh, so, 2,000 years, or 5,000 years, 200 countries, this, stuff keeps happening. What's the common denominator? It takes two to tango, but it takes one to start. But how come we're never allowed to, ask or question what keeps happening to them? What do they keep on doing to cause, these reactions? Okay, we never know. 1679, meal tub plot against James, Duke of York, future James II of England. The meal tub plot. Okay, that's weird. Let's look that up here really quick. Let's see. Elizabeth Cellier. Okay. 1679. What? Okay, the meal tub plot. Okay, so you're saying she stood trial for treason in 1679 for her alleged part in the meal tub plot. This is not telling me. So let's see here. Control F. Meal tub. There we go. Okay. Dangerfield maintained the story that he had been released from prison through the assistance of Powys and Cellier on the condition that he assassinate the king, Lord Shaftesbury, and others. He further claimed that he was to be involved in the fabrication of false plots set to be imposed on people known to be unfavorable to the Catholic cause. One of these conspiracies was to be based on a document which he alleged was hidden in a meal tub in Sellers' house. A search was made, and the paper in question was found in a meal tub. It charged with treason most of the leading Protestants, including the king's natural son, the Duke of Monmouth, the Earl of Shaftesbury, and William Waller, who was the very official charged with the search. Lady Powys and Mrs. Cellier were arrested, and as were some other Catholics, among them the Earl of Castlemaine. So this was a whole thing of Protestants against Catholics. Here we go again. Moving on up into 1684, English King Charles II revoked the Massachusetts Bay Colony Charter due to repeated violations of the charter's terms, including trading with other countries and running an illegal mint. All right, well, those colonists, they don't like to be oppressed, and yeah, this king didn't figure that out, but King James, I believe, did. 1690, revolt in Harlem after public ban on smoking. Well, this is what I have to say about banning on, smoking or vaping or anything. Breathe it in. I don't care. 1694, American colonial forces led by Sir William Phillips failed to seize Quebec. Yep. The one time the U.S. and Canada ever went to war, although Canada was, backed by Britain, we lost. That was, I believe, during the War of 1812, or maybe that was some other war. I don't know. I don't know exact specifics in history, and there's so much history out there. It is mind-boggling. 1694 as well, we have the siege of Spanish-held city of Ceuta on the North African coast, began by Morocco forces. This will become the longest siege in history, lasting 26 years. Wow. So, that's a pretty long siege right there. 1707, the first Parliament of the Kingdom of Great Britain convened. Okay. 1739, we have the War of Jenkins' Ear started when British Prime Minister Robert Walpole reluctantly declared war on Spain. The War of Jenkins' Ear. So, let's take a look at this here really quick. The War of Jenkins' Ear. It was a conflict lasting from 1739 to 1748 between Britain and Spain. The majority of the fighting took place in New Granada and the Caribbean Sea, with major operations largely ended by 1742. It was related to the 1740 to 1748 War of the Austrian Succession. The name was coined in 1858 by British historian Thomas Carlyle and referred to Robert Jenkins, captain of the British brig Rebecca, whose ear was allegedly severed by Spanish coast guards while searching his ship for contraband in 1731, April 1731. All right, so a whole war because someone got their ear chopped off. All right. 1760, first Jewish prayer books printed in North America. All right. 1790 as well. Actually, 30 years later here. Slaves revolted in Haiti. It was later suppressed. Power to the people, man. 1805, the sailing ship Aeneas sunk off Newfoundland, killing 340 people. Well, that's a shitty way to go. But 1812, General Claude Francois de Molay began a conspiracy to overthrow Napoleon Bonaparte, claiming that the emperor died in the Russian campaign. Well, here we go. 1813, the Pacific Fur Company trading post in Astoria, Oregon, was turned over to the rival British Northwest Company. The fur trade in the Pacific Northwest was dominated for the next 3 decades, that's 30 years, by the United Kingdom. 1814, one of the first modern plastic surgeries in the West was performed by Joseph Carpue on a soldier's nose in England using Indian techniques. Native American techniques, or like Hindu Indians, like India Indians, before India was called India. Let's see if there's a picture. So before I go to the picture here, I need to blow my nose, so I'm going to mute my mic. One moment. Alright, sorry about that. It's better than just, continuing the rest of the show all nasally because I have a bunch of crap in my nose. No, but so if there might be, yeah, like I already saw a preview for half a second there. There might be graphic imagery here in a second, so skip ahead about like 10 seconds. So, yeah, here we go. So this is a plastic surgery for the nose here. It looks like, okay, so they skin graft from the forehead and just flipped it over right here to put skin back on the nose. And this is what his nose looked like before it was gone. So, yeah, that's pretty graphic. I don't like seeing that stuff myself. So, anyway, moving on up to 1819, the first ship sailed through the Erie Canal from Rome, New York to Utica, New York. All right. So, the first use of the Erie Canal. Cool. 1850, we have the first U.S. National Women's Rights Convention opened in Brindley Hall, Worcester, Massachusetts. Awesome. 4 years later, 1854, English newspaper The Times gave precise British positions in Crimea during the Crimean War. Okay, Geraldo Rivera. Remember when he was like live on air, during Operation Enduring Freedom or whatever, and like he drew the coalition's battle plan in the sand on camera, and absolutely stupid. As if the enemy weren't watching, oh, that's where the Americans are. Okay, well, let's send missiles over there. Idiot. 1856, dissatisfied with the Imperial Commissioner Yi Mingxing's reparations for the alleged sighting of a British-owned vessel, and at Consul Harry Perks's urging, British Rear Admiral Michael Seymour launched an assault on the barrier forts outside Canton in the first military engagement of the Second Opium War. Womp womp, that is a whoopsie doodle right there. So, this is why communication is invaluable. It is key. Communication is not just it is the cornerstone of society. If it wasn't for a caveman going ooga booga to the other caveman, we'd still be in caves. 1864, the Battle of Westport was the last significant engagement of the American Civil War west of the Mississippi River, ending in a Union victory. All right. Go Union. Even though, they lied and didn't uphold their promises in the South, and, the South had extremely valid reasons for doing what they did, but, at least, calling out the government at, not upholding what they promised, even though what they promised was abhorrent, it's still a promise. So, 1876, 72 senators were summoned by royal proclamation to serve as the first members of the Canadian Senate. All right. Oh. And, of course, it's going to be, British appointed people, not Canadians, so there we go. 1868, having taken the shogunate seat of power at Edo and declaring it as new capital as Tokyo, Mitsuhito proclaimed the start of the new Meiji era. All right. So this is when Tokyo, got its name, and Tokyo is not a city, it is a prefecture. It's not actually categorized as a city. It's just a whole, kind of like how, we have the greater LA area. Well, imagine that, but without LA being incorporated as its own city. That's essentially what Tokyo is. It's not an incorporated city. It's just a prefecture. It's its own. It's like a mini county or something. So the greater area. 1876, New Orleans Mint reopened as an assay office. All right. 1888, Pelham Bay Park in Bronx was vested. What the heck does that mean, vested? Let me look this up here really quick. like created or something. Pelham Bay Park. Okay, Control F. Vested. Okay, well it's not in here. So what does vested mean? What does vested mean? So okay, this is bank. Okay, so maybe it means like it was funded? Like, what does it mean to be vested? Vesting is an important concept in the world of employer retirement plans. Okay, so this is retirement and everything. So what does it mean to vest a park? If anybody can figure this out, you know, hold on a second. What does it mean to vest a park? We'll see if this is a pocket park. What? Also known as a parkette, mini park, vest pocket park, is a small park accessible to the general public. Okay, is that what this means? I'm at a complete loss, so if anybody can help me out, you know, let us know in the comment section. We got to move on up here to 1893. See Daisies in Old Kentucky premiered in New York City for 27 seasons. What? This is well before TV. What the heck does this mean? Seasons? Like, well, okay. Well, I don't even know how to begin searching to figure out what this means. So once again, another challenge to you viewers. If you can figure out, well, if you know, or you can figure out what this means, please let us know in the comment section. 1905, Edward Milton's Royals play Squaw Man premiered in New York City. Was that the Native American form of straw man? You know, squaw man? I don't know. Maybe I'm being incredibly bigoted right now with that joke, but I don't care. If you take offense to a joke, you know, it's your problem, not mine. 1906, Alberto Santos Dumont flew an airplane in the first heavier-than-air flight in Europe. All right, aircraft came to Europe. You know, they had dirigibles and balloons and all that stuff, but this is the first heavier-than-air. So, you know, a powered flight, all that stuff. We also have 1910, Blanche Scott became the first woman to fly at a public event in the U.S. at Fort Wayne, Indiana. Cool. You know, like whoever says that, like, you know, women weren't part of history, like, you know, they were just as part of history, you know, as men were, you know, like 1910, like that's pretty early. So 1910 as well, the Ritz Hotel in Madrid opened with 200 chambers and 100 bathtubs. All right, it's pretty cool. 1911, the first aerial reconnaissance mission was flown by an Italian pilot over Turkish lines during the Italo-Turkish War. I wonder what the name of the pilot was, though. So, actually, let's see if I can do a surface level scratch of this article here. Italo-Turkish War. Oh, here we go. Capitano Carlo Piazza. All right. Flown by Italian pilots. Well, that's, hold on a second, there we go, copy, pilots, there we go. Alright, so we added his name in there, awesome. What else do we got here? 1915, the first National Horseshoe Throwing Championship was held at Kellerton, Iowa. Hey, Iowa, I know somebody in Iowa. Yeah, horseshoe throwing competition. Gotta let him know that he missed out on this article here. 1915 as well, an estimated 25,000 supporters in a women's suffrage marched on New York, marched on New York. Hold on, this is written weird. 25 hours. Supporters of women's suffrage marched on New York's Fifth Avenue, led by Dr. Anna Shaw and Carrie Chapman Katz, founder of the League of Women Voters. I'm all for, equality, not equity, but equality. I'm all for, rights. I'm all for everybody voting, everybody getting a say, everybody being more or less equal, as far as basic stuff like that. 1917, we have the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, shot the first U.S. shot of the War-to-End-All Wars, a.k.a. the Great War, a.k.a. the World War I. And so this is the first time U.S. involvement, open fire in that conflict there. In the year 1919, Orchestra Hall, designed by C. Howard Crane, opened in Detroit, Michigan. It became home of the Detroit Symphony from 1919 through 1939, as well as 1989 to present. So I don't know what happened between 1940 to 1988, but it's also known as the Paradise Theater. It featured top jazz performers and films between 1941 to 1951. Okay, so it changed its purpose for a little bit, but still. What happened between 39 to 41? What happened between 51 to 89? You know, there's some footnotes in history missing. You know, 1920 African demonstrators were shot in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Must be some kind of anti-apartheid thing. So, 1921, the Green Bay Packers played their first APFA, the forerunner to the NFL game. Defeated Minneapolis Marines 7-6 at Hagmeister Park, Green Bay, Wisconsin. All right. 365 days later, 1922, Channing Pollock's play Fool premiered in New York City. I didn't know there was a production about me. That's pretty cool right there. 1923, legendary Yankee slugger Babe Ruth made a postseason exhibition appearance at a rival Giants uniform as New York defeated Baltimore Orioles 9-0 in a benefit game for former Giants owner John Day. All right. Whatever happened to Malcolm Knight or something? I don't know. You know, John Day, Malcolm Knight, Bethany Afternoon. You know, what other names can I make up involving times of day? 1923 as well, U.S. patent was issued to U.S. inventor Sebastian Hinton for playground climbing structure popularly known as monkey bars, number 1471465. So let's see here. U.S. patent this. Control U.S. patent. So let's jungle gym. Yeah. So here we go. This is the patent system here for that. None of these diagrams look like a jungle gym whatsoever. Is this it? I'm not sure. At one moment, I'm about to sneeze. Whew, my soul left my body with that one, man. What else do we got here? 1923, German October. Due to a miscommunication with the party leadership, a militant section of the Communist Party of Germany launched an insurrection in Hamburg. Yikes. 1 century ago, 1924, during the Second Chile-Fengatian War, warlord Feng Yuxiang, with the covert support of the Empire of Japan, staged a coup in Beijing against his Earth-style superiors in the Zihi clique, crippling their nearly victorious war efforts against the Fengatian clique and forced them to withdraw from northern China. Yikes. That happened. Moving on up to 1927, the Imatra cinema was destroyed by fire in Tampere, Finland, during a showing of the 1924 film Wages of Virtue, resulting in 21 deaths and about 30 injuries. Yikes. 1930, you know what? What is this? Town of Netanyahu, Israel, but Israel didn't exist. You know what? I overlooked this. Hold on, let me add this in really quick. 1927, whoops, hold on a second. Boo, boo, boo. Israel. Nope, it's... But Israel didn't exist until 1947. So what in the name of rewriting history is this BS? So, yeah. There was no Israel in 1927. It was Palestine. And now they're trying to completely erase Palestine from history, it seems. How typical. 1932, radio comedy program The Fred Allen Show premiered. Alright. 1933, John Dillinger and his gang robbed Central National Bank in Greencastle, Indiana, taking $75,000. But what's that equivalent in today's money? So let's see here. 1933, $75,000. Let's see. Inflation calculator. It would be $1,819,044.23 today. All right. Thank you, Obama. 1934, Jean Piccard and Jeanette Ridlin attained record balloon flights or heights of 10.9 miles or 17.5 kilometers over Lake Erie. That has since been wildly broken, but that's not the point. You know, like, that's pretty cool. Almost 11 miles above the air in a balloon in 1934. Oh, the sights you would have seen. 1 year later, 1935, U.S. mobsters Dutch Schultz, Abe Landau, Otto Berman, and Bernard Lulu Rosenkrantz were fatally shot by organized crime hitmen at a saloon in Newark, New Jersey. This became known as the Crop House Massacre. To prevent them from killing the U.S. attorney prosecuting Schultz for tax evasion, what became known as the Chop House Massacre. We just talked about that. Whoever's writing these needs to really proofread what they write before they submit it, because we have redundancies here. 1940, Adolf Hitler and Francisco Franco met at Hendaye to discuss the possibility of Spain entering the Second World War, which, it didn't, but, German Luftwaffe, they were very effective during the Second World War because they were allowed to practice, killing people during the Spanish Civil War. A lot of people don't realize that Nazi Germany and Spain, were like this. And, so 1941, Walt Disney's animated film Dumbo was released. Yeah, let's not forget, Jim Crow, one of the characters, elephant fly. 1941, during the Holocaust, Nazi Germany prohibited Jews from emigrating, which means moving away, including in its occupied territories. So there's a difference between immigration and emigration. Immigration with an I is when they're coming to you. Emigration with an E is when they're going away. So, they don't want that. That's weird. They're not letting the Jews leave. That was the entire, that was Hitler's initial plan, was to, essentially make an Israel, in Madagascar. Which is why I say the existence of Israel only makes Hitler win, because that's exactly what he wanted to do. So, the Holocaust was Himmler's idea, not Hitler. And now, if you saw yesterday's show, now, Netanyahu is trying to blame Palestine for the Holocaust. So here we go again. 1942, all 12 passengers and crewmen aboard an American Airlines DC-3 airliner were killed when it was struck by a U.S. Army Air Force bomber near Palm Springs, California. Amongst the victims was composer Ralph Ranger. Thanks for the memory. Well, that sucks. While that was going on in 1942 as well, during World War II, Allied forces commenced the Second Battle of El Alamein in Egypt, which proved to be the key turning point in the North African campaign. Yes, that became a massively important battle, El Alamein. We also have the first ships of invasion fleet to Morocco left Norfolk. Alright. 1943, first Jewish transport out of Rome reached extermination camp at Birkenau. Ugh. Not good. 1944, Battle of Gulf of Leyte began, becoming the largest naval battle of World War II near the Philippines. Alright. I thought the largest naval battle was, well, at least an important naval battle was the Battle of Midway. I think that was actually the first naval battle where the ships never saw each other. 1944, the first central kitchen opened in Amsterdam. What? What is a central kitchen? Is that like a soup house or something? Oh, okay. So there's a famine, and it's community feeding. Okay, I get it. 1944 as well, General Enver Hoxha became interim Prime Minister of Albania, retaining the leadership until his death in 1985. Oh, wow, that's 41 years. So he just never gave up power. Yeah, dictator of Albania, Enver Hoxha. Not good. We also have Vice Admiral Takeo Kirati's flagship, the heavy cruiser Atago, was sunk during the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Did we just talk about Leyte Gulf? Yeah, the Battle of Gulf of Leyte. So, yeah, during this battle, the Japanese Vice Admiral lost his flagship. All right. 1 year later, U.S. baseball player Jackie Robinson signed a contract with Montreal Royals, a minor league farm team of Brooklyn Dodgers. Okay. 1947, husband and wife Carl Corey and Gertrude Corey became the first spouses to be awarded joint Nobel Prizes for physiology or medicine due to their discovery of the course of the catalytic conversion of glycogen alongside Bernardo Albert Husserl. Alright, that's pretty cool. You know, husband and wife team both getting awarded for their contributions and efforts. That's really cool. 1947, the NAACP petition on, this stupid buzzword here. An appeal to the world presented to the UN. Yeah, well, you know, this was back when they actually had problems to complain about. 1950, Filipino President Elpidio Quirino issued Executive Order number 355 replacing the National Land Settlement Administration with Land Settlement Development Corporation, LASEDCO. What the hell? Okay, Land Settlement Development Corporation, 1950. Well, let's look at this. 1950. Okay, land reform in the Philippines. Okay, so what does this entail? Land reform in the Philippines has long been a continuous issue rooted in the Spanish colonial period. Some efforts began during the American colonial period, with renewed efforts during the Commonwealth following independence during martial law, and especially following the People Power Revolution in 1986. The current law, the Comprehensive Agrarian, why can't I pronounce this word? Reform program was passed following the revolution and extended until 2014. Alright, so there's a whole bunch of hoopla happening around all this. If anybody wants to know more about it, you know, the land reform in the Philippines, check out Wikipedia. So. 1951, English chemist Rosalind Franklin first identified the two types of carbon produced by temperature in a paper published by the Royal Society. Alright. Charlie Chaplin's Limelight, starring himself and Claire Bloom, with an appearance by Buster Keaton, premiered in New York City. This was not released in Los Angeles until 1972, 20 years later, winning Chaplin his only competitive Academy Award for Original Source. Good old Charlie Chaplin, the great tramp. 1953, France granted Laos sovereignty. Good, you know, power to the people. German Federation Republic, or whatever, German FR, applied to NATO. I wonder if they were allowed in. I'm not sure. So, 1954, Britain, France, and the U.S. agreed to end occupation of Germany. All right. So, 1954 as well, Pakistan Governor General Ghulam Mohammed disbanded Parliament. That's not good. 1955, Dominican Professional Baseball League moved to winter play for the first time. Okay. So, playing some sports in Dominica during the winter. 1955 as well, Prime Minister Ngo Dien Diem defeated former Emperor Bao Dai in a referendum and founded the Republic of Vietnam. You know, this was the Vietnam that was on French's side and on, well, not really French, yeah, France's side. Then on our side, you know, so they were it became Southern Vietnam and all that jazz. We also have the people of the Saar region voted in a referendum to unite with West Germany instead of France. Oh, all right. So, I mean, you know, they didn't want to be French, I guess. 1956, first video recording on magnetic tape, televised coast to coast. That's pretty cool. You know, cassette tape, 1956. Wow. While that was happening, we have thousands of Hungarians protested against the government and Soviet occupation. Secret police shot several anti-communist protesters, igniting the Hungarian Revolution, which was then crushed later on November 4th. That's, you know, people are always in the power, but, you know, sometimes they just don't have the technology to really exercise their power. It's kind of sad. Man, this is why governments try to disarm us. 1957, first test firing of Vanguard satellite launch vehicle, the TV-3. Okay, let's see here. First test firing. Let's look this up here. Is there an image? Are there videos? Okay, so it's this. Okay, so it's a standard rocket launch, you know, Sputnik-looking satellite type thing. That is very Sputnik-esque, but that's the United States' thing, which, you know, as we've said before, during the whole space race and all that stuff, the United States had no less than 3 satellites ready and waiting, but they intentionally held us back to create fear, to allow more funding into NASA and, you know, the military and all that stuff. They were trying to fearmonger the U.S. citizenry, you know, to vote and allow money and all that stuff. Didn't work. 1958, the Smurfs first appeared in the story Johan en Perloot by Belgian cartoonist Pio on Spira magazine. Yeah, the Smurfs. So happy birthday, Smurfs. I still think the Snorks were better, though. 1958, the Spring Hill mine bump. Underground earthquake trapped 174 miners in the number 2 colliery at Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, the deepest coal mine in North America. By November 1st, rescuers had dug out 99 to 100 victims with a death toll of between 74 to 75. So, and we still have, problems with mining and everything. I mean, what was it, like 2007 or so that they had that mine disaster in Argentina or whatever? They came in at an angle with that pod and they rescued the miners, one at a time and all that stuff. 1959, Chinese troops moved into India. 17 people died. Well, maybe if China stays the hell out of where they're not supposed to be, leave India alone. But, China is China, and they view themselves as a superior race. So, 1964, Dutch 10th Dan judoka Anton Grisik won open gold medal in the first ever Olympic judo competition in Tokyo, prevented a clean sweep of the gold medals by Japan. All right. When that happened in 64, is that even in here? Yes, it is, right there. Moving on up to 64 as well, Japan defeated the Soviet Union 3-0 to claim the inaugural Olympic women's volleyball gold medal in Tokyo, undefeated in 6-team round-robin competition. All right. 1964 as well, Time magazine used the term op art for the first time. What does that mean? Op art. The term op art. Okay. Op artworks are abstract, with many better-known pieces created in black and white. Typically, they give the viewer the impression of movement, hidden images flashing in vibrating patterns, or swelling or warping. Alright, so, moving static images, essentially, and I can see exactly what they're talking about. That's wild. Whoa, that's weird to look at. 1966, Australian Jack Brabham became the first to win F1 World Drivers' Championship and International Cup for Constructors Championship in the same year. Second in season-ending Mexican Grand Prix at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. All right. 1967, NJ New Jersey Americans, later New York/New Jersey Jets, played the first ABBA game, ABA, American Basketball Association. Yep. 1972, Access credit cards introduced in Great Britain. Uh-oh. Credit cards are never a good thing. We also have, during the Vietnam conflict, Operation Linebacker, a U.S. bombing campaign against North Vietnam in response to its Easter offensive, ended after 5 months. Linebacker, not lineback. 1973, Arab oil embargo extended to the Netherlands. Yep. Oh. We also have the United Nations Revised International Telecommunication Convention was adopted. What the hell does that mean? 1973. Let's take a look at this here really quick and get rid of these other tabs. Here we go. Constitution and Convention Collection. Okay, well this is their collection here. Okay, so what year was this? 1973? So, let's see here. International Telecommunication Convention. Okay, English. Let's open this up here. Alright. Come on. What does this entail? Let me know. Okay, it's in many different languages. Okay, well this is a whole bag of hammers. I wanted to know a summary, but we're not going to figure that out. If anybody can know, like, a good link. Okay. Go away tab. There we go. Like, if anyone can post a link or something, like, where we can figure out a little bit more about this specific convention, that'd be fantastic. Gonna move on up into 1974. Lake Isaac in Cleveland Metro Park's Big Creek Reservation was dedicated. Alright. 1975. English rock star Elton John received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Okay. And women took the day off in Iceland to commemorate International Women's Year, shutting the country down for a day. I really don't think it was that drastic. I'm pretty sure, everything was business as usual. So, yeah. 1977, paleontologist Elso Bargehorn announced the discovery of a 3.4 billion-year-old single-celled fossil one of the earliest life forms on Earth that, is salvageable that we can see, So, 1977 as well, Panamanians voted 2-1 to approve new canal treaties. What exact treaties were they? Let's see here. Alright, the Torrijos-Carter treaties. Let's see here. There are 2 treaties signed in the United States and Panama and Washington, D.C. on September 7th, 77, which superseded the Hay-Bernal-Varilla Treaty of 1903. The treaties guaranteed that Panama would gain control of the Panama Canal after 1999, ending the control of the canal that the U.S. had exercised since 1903. The treaties are named after the 2 signatories, yada, yada, yada. So, so some history about the Panama Canal, which I believe the canal itself is in the hands of the Panamanians, but the water is still U.S. territory, or the other way around. I don't know. But it's still a joint effort, as far as I'm aware right now. Moving on up to 1978, China and Japan formally ended 4 decades of dissension, and then immediately picked it right back up. 1980, Nikolai Tikhonov succeeded Alexei Kosygin as premier of the Soviet Union due to illness. And it's pretty hilarious in the Reagan movie, the one that came out this year, about him and all that stuff. It's a really good movie. There's a really quick scene of all the different Soviet premiers dying, and he says a line. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to do foreign policy when the leader keeps dying? How is he supposed to get his job done when the person he's supposed to talk to keeps dying? That's kind of crazy. 1981, U.S. national debt hit $1 trillion. What is it at now? U.S. national debt. Let's see here. National debt is now at $30 trillion. All right. So, wonderful. As of February 2 years ago. Okay. So it's already more than that. Whatever it's at. 1982, a gunfight broke out between police officers and members of a religious cult in Arizona. 2 cultists were killed, with dozens more, as well as several police being injured. So dozens more cultists being injured, police being injured, and all that stuff. 1983, 400,000 people demonstrated in Brussels against cruise missiles. Yeah, well, it's a weapon of death. So, 1983 as well, during the Lebanese Civil War, the U.S. Marine Corps barracks in Beirut was hit by a truck bomb, killing 241 U.S. military personnel. While that was happening, a French Army barracks in Lebanon was also hit that same morning, killing an additional 58. So, Yep, 1984, this is what happens, when Israel pushes all the Palestinians out of their own land, they move up into Lebanon, and all this stuff happens. So, 1984, NBC aired BBC footage of Ethiopian famine. Yeah, that's a reality check right there. 1986, artist Keith Haring was commissioned to paint a mural on the Berlin Wall by Checkpoint Charlie Museum, 300 meters long. Let's see here. Look that up. Image search. Let's take a look at this here. Images. Alright, so this is the mural. Rather simplistic, but still, pretty cool. Oh, wow. There's Statue of Liberty, looks like drawn in the dust on the wall, almost. Like a bunch of them. That's really cool. I've seen a section of the Berlin Wall. I've seen multiple sections of the Berlin Wall. There's one in the Nixon Museum out here. 1987, Dutch government gave Fokker's aircraft 212 million, whatever this is, credit. Whatever the Dutch economy was. That's a symbol for their money. Okay, well, let's see here. 1987. Control F. 1987. Okay, here we go. Fokker almost went out of business in 1987. Guilders. Okay. 200 million Gilder credits. Alright. Awesome. Figured out what the name of that currency was. 1989. Hungary proclaimed itself a republic and declared communist rule ended. Good job. Get them the hell out of your country. 1989, an explosion at the Houston Chemical Complex in Pasadena, Texas, which registered a 3.5 on the Richter magnitude scale, killed 23 and injured 314. Yikes, man. An explosion big enough to measure 3.5 on the Richter? That is massive. So, 1989 as well, bankruptcy of Wartislav Marine, the largest bankruptcy in the Nordic countries up until then, occurred. Well, what's the biggest now? I'm not entirely sure. I'm actually running out of steam. So I'm going to go ahead and end the show here because it's rather difficult to do this as a one person. But like as you can see, there's still 34 years of history. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to power through this. 1990, Iraq announced release of 330 French hostages. 1991, Clarence Thompson, here it is, sworn in as a U.S. Supreme Court Justice. All right. And they're trying to erase him from history because, you know, they want the first black U.S. Supreme Court Justice to also be a woman, so they're trying to erase him and, you know, the other, you know, Supreme Court Justices that is getting in their way of their agenda. So, yeah, like, you know, keep his name in mind. You know, this is why we do the show, to prevent the system from doing what they want to do. 1991, Dr. Jack Kevorkian's Sudoku machine assisted 2 women to remove themselves from this earth. Well, that's really disheartening right there, but, I mean, you don't see men doing it. So, 1991, the Paris Peace Accord were signed, ending the Cambodian and Vietnamese War. I did not realize Cambodia and Vietnam actually fought. You know, and by this time, you know, Vietnam was, you know, incredibly communist. So, yeah. 1992, Emperor Akihito became the first emperor of Japan to stand on Chinese soil. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome, dude. Like, that is so cool. You know, praise be to Akito. All right. 1995, the MacNeil-Lehrer Report became the NewsHour with Jim Lehrer upon Robert McNeil's retirement, and it is currently known as PBS NewsHour on PBS. All right, so they went to a more generic name because they kept having to flop their names around. 1997, at 6:11 in the morning, San Francisco experienced a power blackout due to sabotage. Ooh. In 1998, here we go, Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Chairman Yasser Arafat agreed to the Wye River Memorandum, resuming implementation of the stalled Oslo II Accord, which established a level of self-government for Palestine, signed at the White House in Washington, D.C. You know, Palestine was there before Israel. Now Israel is in there. You know, they got shoehorned in there, and now, you know, they get to call the shots. No, that ain't right. This, you know, what's the difference between this whole, you know, thing and what the white man did to the Native Americans out here, you know, in, you know, what is now known today as the United States? Absolutely nothing, except we're rooting for the bad guys for some reason. In the year 2000, Monday Night Miracle down for 30-7 at the end of the third quarter. New York Jets pulled together an improbable comeback with 4 touchdowns and a field goal in the fourth quarter, eventually defeating the Miami Dolphins 40-37 in overtime. All right. 2001, Apple released the iPod. I remember having those, you know, like a little, you know, clickety click 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 thing. And I remember when, you know, they didn't even have a screen. You know, that was the iPod Shuffle later on and all that stuff. But yeah, I remember the iPod Nano. I still have an iPod. It's not up here. It's packed away somewhere. But the old original iPod that was about this big, about this thick. You know. 2002, during the Second Chechen War, Moscow theater siege began when Chechen rebels seized the House of Culture Theater in Moscow and took approximately 700 theatergoers hostage. Absolutely yikes right there. 2004, a powerful earthquake and its aftershocks hit Niigata Prefecture, northern Japan, killing 35 people, injuring 2,200 others, and leaving 85,000 people homeless or evacuated. Jeez, man. Well, 2009, the United Nations Rotterdam Rules Convention regulating international maritime carriage of goods was ratified with its 12th signature. It's telling me to look that up, but I am really powering myself to get through this. So if anybody wants to let us know in the comment section, you know, what this specifically entails, that'd be great. 2011, a powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck Van province in Turkey, killing 582 people and injuring more thousands. Yikes. 2011 as well, the Libyan National Transitional Council deemed the Libyan civil war over. Alright, about time. And let's see here, I forgot to add in the date, so anytime between 2011 and 2015. The lowest sea level pressure in the Western Hemisphere. You know what, I'll actually look this up here really quick, so let me open up my app really quick, go to events, and this is before 2015. So it was lowest sea level pressure in the Western Hemisphere. That's 2007, and this is for 23rd of October. So Libyan National Council. Okay, here we go. So it was 2015. Okay, so 2015. Yeah, so the lowest sea level pressure in the Western Hemisphere and the highest reliably measured non-tornadic sustained winds were recorded in the Hurricane Patricia. Or hold on a second. I was supposed to do a setup for this. Patricia. So
3, 4, 5.
Hurricane
7.
Patricia! Which struck Mexico hours later. What house? Hours. Hours later. Killing at least 13 and causing over $280 million dollars in damages. It has to be, U.S. dollars. That's not the sign for peso, I don't believe. But that's a lot of money. We also have Adele released her single "Hello," becoming the first song with more than 1 million downloads in the first week. You know, this reminds me back in the day when I was playing Grand Theft Auto Online. I had a friend named like Shadowside or something like that, and like every day, he pops in like, "Hello from the shadow side." He's like, "Stop making my meme or stop turning my name into a meme." And I'm like, "No." Moving on up into 2018, European Commission rejected Italy's budget. This was the first country to be rejected. You'd think that they would have rejected Greece first, but I don't know. 2018 as well, Freddie Mercury biofilm Bohemian Rhapsody, directed by Byron Singer, starring Rami Malek, who later received the Best Actor Academy Awards 2019, premiered in London. Alright. Microplastics were found in human stools for the first time by Austrian scientists in 2018. Absolutely yikes. But like as a meme said that I saw not too long ago, my grandfather is full of asbestos. My father is full of lead. I'm full of microplastics. So every generation has its thing right there. 2018 as well, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan rejected Saudi claim journalist Jamal Khashoggi was killed accidentally, said it was a premeditated murder. Well, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but like maybe it's time that Turkey and Saudi Arabia just stop working together. If people wind up dying, it's obviously that you guys can't work together. And Saudi Arabia is nobody's friend, I tell you that much. We also have the world's longest sea-crossing bridge, the Hong Kong-Maku-Zhuhai Bridge at 55 kilometers, opened by Chinese President Xi Jinping. And hasn't it collapsed yet? Like, let's see, the Hong Kong-Maku-Zhuhai Bridge. Let's take a look at that. I seem to remember something, some tragedy recently, or like it's falling apart or something. But yeah. It's a bridge and a tunnel. Like, I would not, absolutely not want to go underwater with Chinese architecture. Like, freaking, what's it called? Tofu construction or whatever? Something like that. Although, this building out here looks really cool. Too bad it's all in China. The world's oldest intact shipwreck, ancient Greek vessel, 2,400 years old, found at the bottom of Black Sea by archaeologists. Well, let's see if we have a picture for this. Go away. There we go. Alright, so here we go. Here's an image. It was a trading ship Power, sail, and oars. All right. What else we got here? 2019 All-Star point guard Kyrie Irving poured in 50 points, setting a new NBA record for points on debut with a new team as his Brooklyn Nets went down 127 to 126 at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves. 1 point. 2019 Google Research Lab claimed it had achieved quantum supremacy, performing a calculation in 3 minutes that would take a supercomputer 10,000 years, allegedly. According to them, it is Google. I'm pretty sure that they're Potemkin, they're doing their Potemkin village crap, right there. So, we also have Hong Kong Legislative Council scrapped the extradition bill that sparked months of protests and unrest. It's telling me to look that up, but I gotta keep on going here. I have about 7 more articles. 2019, a lorry containing 39 bodies. A lorry being a truck, like a tractor trailer truck. For Britain, let me show you what I'm talking about. Lorry. Yeah, so that's a lorry right there. So a truck containing 39 bodies of Vietnamese nationals were found in Essex, England. A man was then arrested for people smuggling and murder. Yeah, well, that would cause it. 2020, the second Libyan civil war ended when all parties to the 5+5 Joint Libyan Military Commission agreed to a ceasefire. All right, what's the Doctor Who saying? All this fighting and stuff is for nothing when everybody just does what they should have done at the very beginning. Sit down and talk. Yeah. Actually, let me look it up, that actual scene right there. Doctor Who, sit down and talk. Let's see. Here it is.
A 50%.
To play the game. Who's going to be quick? Sincerely.
Why are you doing this?
Yes, I'd quite like to know that too. You set this up, why?
Because it's not a game, Kate. This is a scale model of war. Every war ever fought right there. Fire that first shot. No matter how right you feel, you have no idea who's going to die. You don't know whose children are going to scream and burn. How many hearts will be broken? How many lives shattered? How much blood will spill until everybody does what they were always going to have to do from the very beginning? Sit down and talk!
Yep, right there. Sit down and talk. At the end of the day, every shot fired, every life lost, and every conflict is completely moot and needless. Because we always end up sitting down and talking anyway. What's the point? Well... 2021, the capture of Colombia's most wanted drug lord, Dairo Antonio Usaga Otoniel, in Colombia's Uraba region, announced live on TV. All right. 2022, Xi Jinping secured secured record third term as General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party with a new 7-member Politburo Standing Committee in the 20th National Party Congress in Beijing. All right. 2022, Myanmar Air Force airstruck a concert in Hapata Township, Kachin State, killing at least 80 people, including senior Kachin Independence Organization officials, in the Hapata massacre. And we have, last but not least, just this time last year, super fog conditions near New Orleans caused a motorway pileup involving 158 vehicles, causing 7 deaths. Yikes. And that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar of the description for any links that you may be interested in, including one not limited to all things Omni Coalition. So much history has and continues to be made on a daily basis, and we can only bring you a portion. Please check out our sources for more. For your dose of Past Events Daily, we stream every day at 11 in the morning Pacific Time. We do have other shows from history to news, movie reaction, reviews, gaming, videos and memes, Omni Kitchen, and everything else in between on Talk Show. Check the underbar. For all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander, and you are you, and until you catch us next time, and whenever that is, wherever that is, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles! And do boop boop boop.